Mr. President, you just invaded a country and captured its leader. Which country was it again?
Venezuelans.
Close enough. Now, you didn't get congressional approval before the strike. Is what you did legal?
No.
Okay. Is it just an attempt to distract everyone from the Epstein files?
Oh, yes.
Well, I saw a picture of you during the mission, and you were watching a screen. What exactly were you watching?
Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I read that the CIA was tracking Maduro's location. If another country was tracking you, where would they look?
Burger King, Wendy's, and McDonald's.
Okay, of course. Now, was the attack a warning to other nations like, say, Saudi Arabia or Russia?
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
Last question. You say you want to run Venezuela. Do you even speak Spanish?
El hombre del peliquin.
All right, thank you for your time, sir. I appreciate that.
MAGA supporters are celebrating right now, calling this a historic victory, treating regime change like it's proof America's back, because the United States just took the president of another country in the middle of the night, flew him to New York, and announced we're running their government now. No UN approval, no congressional authorization, no international coalition. The same people who screamed "no more endless wars" are cheering this invasion, and progressives who claim to defend democracy are running defense for an authoritarian. This is messy, really messy. Welcome to Mind Mirror. Let's break down what actually happened in Venezuela and why everyone's wrong about something.
Hey, do the bootlicking MAGA cucks know that this is actually day 2 of the invasion and that it's not a victory? You do know that Trump said we're staying in Venezuela, we're going to run Venezuela. Venezuela is now a vassal state. We're sending more boots on the ground to stay there. And you think what? They're not going to face any resistance? You think the Venezuelan people are just going to allow the American government to send their military in and harvest their fucking oil? I know they got Maduro. Do you think that's the end? Oh, we got him. Victory Royale. Let's go harvest their oil. It'll be peaceful. We're not going to face any... Is that actually what you think?
Wait, hold on. Let's be clear about what just happened here. Military strikes on a capital city, 32 Cubans killed, a sitting head of state captured and flown to another country, no UN authorization, no congressional approval, no international coalition. That's regime change. That's what invasion looks like. You can dress it up as law enforcement all you want, but words have meanings. And here's what's fascinating. The same voices that spent years yelling "no more foreign wars" are suddenly cool with it. Why? Because this time, they like who gave the order. Iraq had WMDs. Libya was humanitarian intervention. Venezuela's a narco state. Different decade, same script. And the people celebrating? They're the ones who said they were done being the world's police. Funny how principles evaporate when it's your guy pushing the button.
Donald Trump is issuing a renewed threat to the new Venezuelan leader, Delcy Rodriguez.
I have to follow MAGA on social media so that you don't have to. And this particular person, Jeff Hunter, posted this one day ago and said Maria Corina Machado is poised to replace Nicolas Maduro. Who is she? Oh, she's the one that won the Nobel Peace Prize. And then she tweeted on X that said, "I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause." And when Trump was asked who is going to be the next leader of Venezuela since they kidnapped the president, he said, "It's not going to be Machado. I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect." MAGA supporters don't even know what they are talking about. They are hyping up this woman who won the Nobel Peace Prize because she dedicated it to President Trump, who threw her under the bus and said, no, she's not going to be the next leader. And then as you heard from Aaron Partis, he said, now Trump is threatening the vice president under Maduro's current regime.
So supporters spent all week hyping up Maria Corina Machado, Nobel Peace Prize winner, 72% approval rating in Venezuela, the people's choice. Then the White House said, nah, she's not gonna lead, doesn't have the support or respect. Wait, what? She literally has the highest approval rating in the country. But that doesn't matter when you're picking who gets to run the government you just invaded. That's the thing about regime change. You don't install the democratic choice. You install whoever serves your interests. And if the people pick someone else later, well, we know how that usually ends. American-backed leaders in Latin America have a shelf life. History's pretty clear on that.
Hey, y'all. I woke up to my president stealing somebody else's president. In the dead of night. But to witness the panicans, to witness them in unison with the collectivists, the socialists, the leftists. Oh my God, no new wars. I didn't vote for this. Pathetic. When their country was being invaded through open borders, you know what they did? They started a podcast. You know what patriots did? They signed up. They seen a strong leader and they signed up under him in record numbers. And these pathetic people hopping on their podcasts, crying, oh my God, Trump is starting a new war. I'm not going to die for Israel. You wouldn't even die for God himself. Talking about I ain't going to die for Israel. Get up off my phone, dog.
Here's the disconnect. Questioning patriotism because people aren't excited about securing oil fields in South America. Signing up to serve is honorable, always. But there's a massive difference between defending your country and being deployed for corporate interests disguised as liberation. When people say, I'm not dying for this, they're not rejecting duty. They're rejecting the lie, because we've been sold this story before. Afghanistan was defending freedom. Iraq was preventing terrorism. Vietnam was stopping communism. And decades later, we're still asking what we actually achieved. How many lives were worth it? Pattern recognition isn't weakness, it's intelligence. Saying, maybe we should think before sending our kids to die for quarterly profits isn't cowardice, it's common sense. Calling that pathetic? That's not patriotism. That's peer pressure with nationalism as branding.
Well, MAGA, your favorite sociopath just crossed every red line in international law by ordering military strikes on an independent nation without United Nations authorization and without Congress's approval. He kidnapped the president of a foreign nation. Experts are calling this a crime of aggression, a blatant violation of the UN Charter and the basic rules meant to prevent unilateral invasion. This is war by decree, launched without justification for only one reason. Venezuela sits on one of the largest oil reserves on the planet. This is reckless imperialism, and it invites every other power on Earth to decide that might makes right. And this is a distraction. While the Epstein files are being illegally stalled and Jack Smith's damning testimony circulates, suddenly we're supposed to focus on explosions overseas. This is the oldest authoritarian move in the book.
Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.
When the walls close in, you start a crisis somewhere else and dare the press to follow. So let's ask the questions no one in power seems willing to ask. Are we putting boots on the ground next? Are American soldiers about to die so Trump can play strongman? And who exactly is supposed to run Venezuela when we have incompetent idiots running our own fucking government? Where the fuck is Congress? Where are the war powers? Where are the hearings? Where are the consequences? Because if a president can bomb a country, abduct its leader, and use war to distract from his own legal exposure, then let's admit it, the morons have won. And people are going to die because of it. Well, MAGA and regime, I hope you have the day you deserve.
Let's talk law, because feelings don't matter here, only precedent. Under the War Powers Act, Congress gets notified within 48 hours of military action. Didn't happen. Marco Rubio admitted they skipped congressional oversight because they worried about leaks. So we've decided checks and balances are optional now. Then there's the UN Charter, which the US is bound by. Article 2 prohibits force against another state unless it's self-defense or Security Council authorized. We had neither. The defense? We're executing an arrest warrant. But arrest warrants don't authorize bombing campaigns. They don't authorize capturing heads of state and flying them across international borders. That's not law enforcement. Under international law, that's abduction. You can argue Maduro deserved it, fine. But if we're throwing out legal frameworks whenever they're inconvenient, we're not the rule of law country anymore. We're might makes right. And other nations are watching, taking notes, adjusting their playbooks accordingly.
Venezuelans are happy the U.S. invaded. From their point of view, they're okay with the resources being taken, they're okay with their rights being violated. They just want Maduro out. That's just their view, their culture. Versus the U.S. point of view is, we don't want to go to war, we don't want to fund a war. And the crazy thing is, no one's worried about retaliation. It's just not a possibility of Venezuela attacking the U.S. Or at least it doesn't seem like it, to be honest. And now Trump is threatening Mexico, Colombia, and Cuba. And the crazy thing is that if the U.S. attacks Mexico, Mexico would probably attack back. And they're right next to each other, so there's going to be fallout. And now that Venezuela is free, they can now start denying asylum cases, deny TPS, and deport all the Venezuelans back to Venezuela. And they might include other nationalities because it's being administered by the US now, so it doesn't matter, right? So the political climate's about to get a little crazy, and it's just 2026 just started. This was a big distraction. Today was the deadline for the Trump administration to explain why the Epstein files were not fully released and why they were still redacted. Congratulations.
All right, so Maduro threatened Trump, and then Trump answered in the most direct way possible, y'all. Apparently, overnight, U.S. forces captured the Venezuelan president, Nicolas Maduro, and his wife and moved them towards New York to face charges. Trump framed it as taking down a narco-terror network, and the people of Venezuela are loving it. Check this out, y'all. They're literally crying in the streets for their freedom, thanking the United States for finally freeing them, y'all. Check this out.
El pueblo finalmente está libre. El pueblo llora por su libertad. Gracias a los Estados Unidos por liberarnos. Y viva la libertad.
Wow.
Oye, el dictador cayó. Finalmente. Estamos libres, estamos libres.
We're finally free. Wow.
Gracias, Dios. Gracias. Oye, el dictador cayó finalmente. Granadito, hermano, esto es real. Estamos libres. Mira, mira cómo está la gente. ¡Viva Venezuela libre! Gracias a Dios, esto es para todos los que aguantaron, se logró.
Isn't that crazy?
Estamos libres finalmente. Gracias, Donald Trump.
Wow.
¡Viva la libertad!
And this did not start last night. Maduro has faced U.S. drug and narco charges since 2020. The U.S. also raised the reward for information leading to his arrest or conviction up to $50 million in 2025. So Trump is calling this law enforcement with teeth. Trump also said that he's going to temporarily run Venezuela and tap its oil for international sale. That turns one arrest into a full geopolitical earthquake. The next real checkpoint is court. So if Maduro is arraigned in New York, filing and charges will show what this operation is being treated as: a prosecution, a regime change, or both. Y'all like the video right there. Follow for more. Let me know what you think in the comments. Catch you on the next one.
The timing's interesting, isn't it? Right before the holidays, Epstein files dropped. Redacted limited, but enough to raise questions. Congress adjourned early. Everyone scattered. Then boom, major military operation. Front page news. Venezuela's all anyone's talking about now. Wag the dog wasn't fiction. When you're facing domestic heat, starting a foreign crisis is the oldest authoritarian move in the playbook. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe not. But when bad press builds and suddenly bombs are dropping overseas, people ask questions. The real test? Whether Congress actually investigates or just rubber stamps it because it's their team.
So the timing of this couldn't be any more obvious. Think about it. Right before the holidays, what were we all talking about? Epstein. They had released a whole bunch of files, as they were required to do. Of course, they're still holding on to the vast majority of those files, and the cover-up continues, but they had released a whole bunch of files, and some of them were quite damning of Donald Trump, raised a lot of questions, so much so that Republicans adjourned Congress early and got the hell out of town.
I imagine you're going to see a lot of liberals on here saying that what Trump is doing in Venezuela is like just a pure example of MAGA gone mad. It's not. This is American imperialism. The Trumpian element is the fact that it's so flippin' obvious, okay? And it's so just mask off. That's the Trump element of it. However, them coming up with a bullshit reason to depose a leader and, you know, capture a country for its resources, it's textbook. It is textbook USA.
I'm sorry. Do we live in a parallel reality now? The president says that the U.S. is going to run Venezuela. This is not a bakery. This is a country with territorial sovereignty. Have we just abandoned the principles of international law, federal law, constitutional principles, congressional oversights? Those are gone now. Forget about the fact that we sent our troops into another country violating every basic concept of foreign sovereignty without the authorization of Congress, but by simple diktat of the President of the United States. Forget about the fact that we have captured, we'll say that, the president of that country, a sitting president, and forget about the fact that we removed that president from the country, all without congressional approval. But now the president is saying that we, the United States, are just going to run another country in interim? What international law, what federal statute, what constitutional principle allows anything even remotely close to this? This is not a business hostile takeover. This is international law. This is geopolitics. You're not removing a CEO. You are installing essentially a puppet regime into a foreign country that you've, by international standards, you've invaded. There's no law, no treaty, not even a geopolitical theory out there that justifies the United States running Venezuela in the interim. And Congress has been at best silent when not applauding all this. This is the upside down world from an international law perspective.
Where is Congress? Seriously, we just invaded another country and the legislative branch is... what? Tweeting a few concerned statements? Senator Mike Lee raised constitutional concerns. Senator Tim Kaine tried passing legislation preventing exactly this kind of unilateral action in Venezuela. Bipartisan opposition exists. It's just being ignored. Because here's what nobody wants to admit. When you let the executive branch act without oversight, you're not empowering one administration. You're setting precedent for every administration after. Emergency powers and protecting personnel are exceptions, not loopholes. They're for imminent threats, not planned operations with weeks of preparation. If you support this, fine. But acknowledge we just threw out 250 years of separation of powers. And ask yourself, will you still support this precedent when it's someone you didn't vote for calling the shots?
Donald Trump has officially invaded Caracas, Venezuela tonight. He has unlawfully attacked Caracas, Venezuela. Sources are saying that the mission or his mission is to get rid of all of the Venezuelan leaders, allegedly. And also, allegedly, sources are saying the defense minister of Venezuela is unalive now. This is such sad times. Sources is also saying the U.S. has transmitted military nuclear codes. Could just be for practice. We don't know. All I know is my sources is saying that they have transmitted those codes, putting everyone into harm's way. Take a look at this clip. Here is a couple clips of showing the explosions that are going across Caracas. Pay attention to this clip. Now here's another clip showing where you could hear the air raid sirens going off across Caracas. Pay attention to this clip. And here's the capital of Caracas, where the smoke is rising from all of the attacks. Take a look at this clip. And here's more bombs going off across Caracas, Venezuela. Take a look at this. Here is a post on X from Gustavo Petro, where he's saying right now they are bombing Caracas. Alert the whole world. They have attacked Venezuela. They are bombing with missiles. The OAS and UN must meet immediately. Here's a clip here of the tanks going down the streets, the U.S. tanks going down the streets of Caracas, Venezuela. And here's another clip of bombs going off. No one's have heard a word from Donald Trump. The last post Donald Trump made on X was late last night. he made a post of making fun of the governor of Illinois. And this is the man that has the keys to our nuclear bombs. Donald Trump, it has invaded Venezuela. Drop down in the comments how you feel about this new invasion on Venezuela. Don't forget to like, share, and follow me for more controversial topics.
Let's separate fact from fiction, because misinformation spreads fast when emotions run high. Confirmed. Military strikes hit Caracas around 2 a.m. local time. Explosions at military complexes including Fuerte Tiuna. Those are verified by multiple news outlets. Also confirmed, at least 32 Cubans killed, according to the Cuban government. Maduro and his wife captured and flown to New York. What's unclear? The extent of civilian damage. Some footage circulating on social media is unverified or from other conflicts entirely. People share dramatic videos without confirming sources. Venezuela's state oil company reported no major damage to facilities. That doesn't mean the operation was small. It was targeted, not a sustained bombing campaign. So yes, the US conducted strikes. Yes, there were casualties, but accuracy matters. When we exaggerate or spread unverified footage, it undermines legitimate criticism of what actually happened.
We Venezuelans stand with the actions taken by President Donald J. Trump. The Venezuelan people has been oppressed by this narco regime for almost 27 years. I mean, this is not new. You probably heard about it. What Donald Trump is doing today is the same that every country, is the same that all the international community should be doing to support every country in the same situation or similar situation of Venezuela. The oppressed people from Cuba, from Venezuela, from Nicaragua, from Nigeria. Nothing of this will be possible with our leader who knows what to do and is not scared to do it. And this is Donald Trump. The support is overwhelming on his first period of president and now in his second term. The international community should be ashamed of themselves, of all these international organizations, OEA, ONU, CPI. You should be ashamed of yourself right now. These organizations looked away so many times that it's painful to think about it. People died because of this, with the lack of action, that you actually have the power to it, but you choose not to do it. We Venezuelans fought with our lives, literally. Many people have been killed, many people have been kidnapped, many people have been tortured, and so much more. Don't listen to people that are not Venezuelans. The 90% of the Venezuelan people, mostly, are happy about this. We agree with President Donald Trump. I stand with what I said earlier. This is what every country should be doing, helping other countries that are not in a situation to protect themselves. This is what should be happening in every country in the same situation, or even remotely, like similar. It's true that still we have a long ride to go. This is not the end of the regime as we know it, but at least it's a huge, huge step towards maybe a democracy or even freedom. For the people in the United States of America or all around the world, I want you to know that we agree with what is happening, that we are happy about it, and that hopefully, because of this, we're going to go in the right direction to be actually free.
This is the complexity everyone ignores. Listen to this Venezuelan woman. Listen to the people crying in the streets. They're genuinely grateful. After 27 years of oppression, food shortages, hyperinflation, political persecution, they see this as liberation. And we shouldn't dismiss that. These aren't actors. These are people who watched their country collapse, who fled or stayed and suffered. When they say they support this operation, they mean it. But here's the brutal truth. You can't build democracy at gunpoint. You can't install freedom through military occupation. Venezuela needs to determine its own future. That might include American help, but it can't be American control. The moment we say we're running Venezuela, we've undermined the entire premise of liberation. What happens when oil companies start extracting resources? When the interim government makes unpopular decisions? When whoever gets installed becomes the next authoritarian? Iran 1953, Guatemala 1954, Chile 1973, Iraq 2003. We go in with the best intentions, or claim to, and it ends in chaos. So celebrate Maduro's capture if you want, but stay vigilant about what comes next, because removing a dictator is the easy part. Building what comes after, that's where we fail.
We hate dictators. Oh, well, that's great, because we just captured the dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. A man hated by his own people so much that they're literally out in the streets celebrating his capture. He's going to get flown to the US of A so he can stand trial for corruption, for narco-terrorism. It's a huge win. We got his ass. No, we love let him go. We love dictators.
So the question I'm getting is, how is the market going to respond to the Venezuela stuff going on, right? Us taking the president. And simple answer, I think oil sees some movement, defense moves. You might have a negative reaction on the indexes. We'll see with futures tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be a drastic reaction, personally, outside of oil. What's interesting, though, is you're seeing Venezuelans, they're rejoicing. Like, most of what I've seen and heard is like they're happy that this happened. Like they're celebrating this because a lot of them were being oppressed. It seemed like a very, very bad situation. The irony is that you have I don't even want to say Americans, because it's mostly obviously the Democratic Party or the left furious about this, and even to the point where they're demanding the release of Maduro. Why? I don't understand. Like, how can the people of the country be happy about something and then you have the audacity to be unhappy about it and make it about you? Explain that to me. We live in some weird fucking times, man. So, that's all I got, guys. Enjoy your night.
The absurdity of this moment. Venezuelans celebrating their freedom while some Americans demand Maduro's release. Let that sink in. People who claim to care about human rights are calling for the release of a dictator who rigged elections, brutalized protesters, and destroyed his economy. Why? Because of who ordered the operation. That's it. That's the only reason. If this happened under a different administration, the same people would have written think pieces about humanitarian intervention. But because it's this administration, suddenly Maduro's a victim. This is what happens when you view everything through a partisan lens. You defend the indefensible because you hate the person more than the policy. It's intellectually dishonest. Politics as team sports. My side good, your side bad. Facts optional. Where does this leave us? Maduro's a brutal dictator who deserved justice. The U.S. violated international law to deliver it. Venezuelans are grateful. Military occupation has a terrible track record. None of this is simple. Anyone telling you it is, they're selling something. Stay skeptical. Question government motives. Question media narratives. Question your own biases. Drop a comment. Celebrating, condemning, or somewhere in between. I want actual thoughts, not talking points. If this added value, hit like, share it, and subscribe for content that treats you like you can think for yourself. At Mind Mirror, we don't do simple answers. We do real ones. See you in the next one.
Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.